Hi there, my name is Kendra Tolbert, and I am both honored and excited to have an opportunity to present to you an intro to yoga for fertility. I am a registered yoga teacher and a registered dietitian, and I specialize in women's health and fertility. In addition to my training in and experience in yoga and nutrition, I also have training in Western herbalism, traditional Chinese medicine, and aromatherapy. Since I was a little kid, I have been obsessed with pregnancy, birth, movement, spirituality, science, and cultural practices from around the world. So I'm really fortunate because I get to combine all of those things that I've always loved in fertility yoga. And so I'm excited to share with you how you might support your fertility and your overall well being. So, in this presentation, we are going to cover what fertility focused yoga is, what we can learn from traditional wisdom around the idea of working with yoga to support fertility, what Western science might teach us about yoga for reproductive health, and my personal favorite part, we are actually going to practice a 30-minute yoga for fertility sequence. So, first things first, what is fertility yoga? If you are at all familiar with Hatha yoga, Vinyasa yoga, restorative yoga, yin yoga, or any other form of yoga, then you are already familiar with fertility yoga. And that's because the poses, the meditations, the guided visualizations, perhaps the acupressure and the breathing exercises that you might have explored in a regular yoga class are the exact things that you will practice in a fertility yoga class. But what I have found makes fertility yoga, and different from a general yoga practice are the following. One is the intention. The teacher has created the sequence with the intention of supporting one's fertility, and the student is there with the intention of supporting their fertility. So the intention of supporting fertility makes it a fertility yoga class. Another thing that makes a fertility yoga class what it is the purpose behind the poses, behind the meditation, behind the guided visualization and breathing practice and possibly acupressure that are explored in that class. For me, I often have three different purposes in mind in the classes that I create. One is to increase circulation to and from the reproductive organs. The other is to help to manage feelings of anxiety, depression, and stress because trying to conceive is not always easy. And the other is to create a felt sense of fertility, to create a sense that one is embodying the word fertility, the idea of fertility. The last thing that makes a fertility yoga class, at least in my opinion, is the therapeutic lens that the teacher is bringing to their class. So, in my case, I'm often influenced by traditional Chinese medicine. And that's because my yoga teacher trainers, those who taught me fertility yoga and taught me how to teach fertility yoga, have additional training in traditional Chinese medicine. So, two of them are traditional Chinese medicine providers, and the other is a Qigong instructor. So, the way they taught me to think of fertility yoga is heavily influenced by traditional Chinese medicine. And because of that, I often think about traditional wisdom and traditional medicine when I'm thinking about fertility yoga. And that's the case for a lot of fertility yoga teachers. When we look at traditional wisdom and traditional medicine, there is a heavy emphasis placed on preparation before conception. So, around the world, all different cultures will intentionally prepare parents for pregnancy and parenting before they even start trying to conceive. And they will think of preparing them spiritually, and physically and emotionally for what is to come. Different teachers will approach this differently, but there are two lenses that are commonly used when someone is a fertility yoga teacher and they are adding the idea of traditional wisdom and therapeutics to how they teach fertility yoga. One of those traditional forms of medicine is Ayurveda. Now, I am not as well versed in Ayurveda as I am traditional Chinese medicine, but from what I have learned, it is the sister science of yoga. And in Ayurveda, people often focus in on building up the ojas before trying to conceive. Now, the ojas are like the wellspring of vitality and incredibly important to one's reproductive health. Things like yoga poses or asana, meditation, and breathing practices can all help to fortify and build up one's ojas. As I said earlier, I'm heavily influenced by traditional Chinese medicine when it comes to fertility yoga. So, a lot of the poses that I choose will be poses that will stimulate the meridian lines that are most closely associated with reproductive health and fertility. In addition to traditional wisdom, we do have some Western science who suggest that yoga can be quite beneficial for those who are looking to improve their reproductive health. So, in one study, a group of people who were undergoing IVF did a 10-week mind body practice intervention, and the other group did not. 52% in the intervention group, so the people who actually did the mind body practices, conceived versus 20% in the control group. So, based on that, it would seem that mind body practices, and yoga is a mind body practice, might improve pregnancy rates. We also have research around yoga and infertility and mood. And I feel like this is really important research because it's not just about conceiving, it's about how one feels along the journey. And so, if we have something that can help to improve someone's quality of life, their feelings of anxiety, depression, and stress, then I think we should absolutely make those things available to people. And yoga seems to do that for people who have received an infertility diagnosis. And that's important because those who receive an infertility diagnosis have been said to experience the same levels of anxiety, depression, and stress as one who has received a terminal cancer diagnosis. So, yoga might be able to help people feel a bit better along the way. That matters. We also have research around yoga and PCOS. If you're familiar with PCOS, then you might know that PCOS is the leading cause of anovulatory infertility. So, if yoga, which it seems that it can improve cycle regularity and improve ovulation rates in people with PCOS, and we can drive down that rate of anovulatory infertility. And it does seem that yoga can improve cycle regularity, mood, so anxiety and depression, insulin sensitivity, inflammation, androgen levels, and hirsutism in those with PCOS. The last thing that I wanted to touch on is the way that yoga may improve pelvic pain and quality of life for those with endometriosis and PMS. In addition to the traditional wisdom and the Western science that we have, I wanted you to hear some words from real people who have practiced yoga to support their fertility. So here are some of the, I guess we'll call them testimonials from some of my subscribers over on YouTube. So first up, thanks for your video. I absolutely loved doing these poses during the 2-week wait. It helped me with my stress levels. Doing these poses along with other poses helped me to conceive successfully. Thanks a ton. Baby dust to all the women here. Thank you again for helping me with your videos. I am now 12 weeks pregnant and still can't quite believe it sometimes. Things took a while, but now we are here. I am feeling very lucky so far. Your yoga videos for the cycle in particular helped me deal with difficult emotions along the way. And finally, my husband and I have been trying to conceive for 6 months, so I decided to give your videos a try. I'll be having our 4th child next month. Now it is your chance to actually practice some fertility yoga because, as Ted Nicholas says, and I totally agree, knowledge without action is like having no knowledge at all. I have thoroughly enjoyed presenting all of this information to you, but more importantly, I want you to have your own experience so that you can decide for yourself if you think yoga could be something that supports your fertility. So I invite you to roll out your mat and grab any props that you might like to have and practice some fertility yoga with me. Come down to the center of your mat with the soles of your feet flat on the floor, your knees bent. Lie back. Place your hands next to your hips, palms down. Allow your knees to fall together and walk your feet out as wide as your mat. If it feels good to you, I invite you to close your eyes. Bring your attention to your heart. Begin to envision light growing here. Feel warmth growing here. Allow that light and warmth to trail down to your lower abdomen. Envision light and feel warmth growing here. When you're ready, walk your feet in closer to each other so that they are about hips width apart, and allow your knees to fall away from one another until they are about hips width apart. Then, on your next inhale, tilt your pelvis, creating a small arch in your lower back. As you exhale, return to a neutral spine. Inhale to arch. Exhale, neutral. Continue inhaling and arching. Exhaling and coming back to neutral at your own pace. As you tilt your pelvis back and forth, envision the light and feel the warmth moving back and forth from your lower abdomen to your heart, from your heart to your lower abdomen. Make this your final pelvic tilt. Come back to stillness. Then walk your feet closer to your bottom so that your heels are just about underneath your knees. On your next inhale, lift your hips. As you exhale, lower your hips. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Continue inhaling and lifting, exhaling and lowering, allowing your breath to guide you. Make the next time you lower your hips the last time you lower your hips. Then begin to shift your knees gently from side to side. Come back to center. Come back to stillness. Roll over onto your side. Press yourself up and make your way onto your hands and your knees. Stack your shoulders over your wrists and your hips over your knees. On your next inhale, arch your spine. Then as you exhale, round your spine. Inhale to arch. Exhale to round. Continue moving through cat-cow at your own pace, trusting your breath to guide you. When you're ready, come back to a neutral spine. Place your big toes together. Bring your knees out wide. Send your hips back to meet your heels, and lower your forehead down to the mat as you walk your hands forward for child's pose. When you're ready, come back up onto your hands and your knees. Bring your knees back underneath your hips and your feet in line with your knees so that everything is about hips width apart. step your left foot forward on the outside of your left hand. If you'd like to, you can slide your right leg back by curling your back toes under, lifting your back knee, sliding your back foot back, then lowering your back knee and uncurling your back toes. Breathe here in this low lunge. You can remain here with your hands on the mat, or you can place your hands onto the top of your front thigh to bring your torso up. Whether your hands are on the mat or on your thigh, on your next exhale, tilt your pelvis forward. Then as you inhale, tilt your pelvis back. Continue tilting your pelvis back and forth. These movements may be very small. Come back to neutral. Lower your hands to the mat if they're not there already. Then step your left foot back. Rock your hips from side to side. Then, when you're ready, step your right foot forward on the outside of your right hand. Once again, you get to decide if you would like to keep your hands on the mat or if you would like to place them on your front thigh. And once again, explore tilting your pelvis back and forth in this low lunge. Come back to a neutral spine. Lower your hands if they're not already on the mat. Step your right foot back. Shift your hips from side to side. Make sure your wrists are under your shoulders and your knees are underneath your hips. Come back to stillness. Curl your right toes under and slide your right foot back, straightening your right leg. Then turn your right foot so that your right heel is pointing towards the left and the sole of your foot is flat on the mat. Swivel your left leg so that your left foot and your left toes are pointing towards the left. Then stack your right hip on top of your left hip. Place your right hand on your right hip or reach it up towards the sky or by your ear. Slowly come out of this pose. Make your way back onto your hands and your knees. Let's repeat on the other side. This time you'll slide your left foot back and turn your right foot out. Once again, stack one hip on top of the other and place your hand either on your hip, reach it up towards the sky, or reach your arm over by your ear. When you're ready, come out of the pose, make your way back onto your hands and your knees. Curl your toes under, lift your knees, lift your hips, send your torso back towards your thighs. Then bring your heels down towards the mat. If you'd like to, you can bend and straighten one leg, then the other, to move through downward facing dog. Find a moment of stillness here in your downward facing dog. Then walk your hands back towards your feet. Slowly roll up to standing, circling your arms up overhead. Palms touch. And as you exhale, bring your hands down to the center of your chest. Slowly walk to the front of your mat. Place your hands onto your hips. Shift your weight over to the left. Then step your right foot back. Coming onto the ball of your right foot. Bend your front knee and slide your right foot back as far as feels comfortable to you. If you'd like to, you can release your hands from your hips, then circle your arms up overhead. Begin to explore pelvic tilts here in this crescent lunge, tilting your hips back and forth. Come back to a neutral position. Bring your hands back onto your hips if they're not there already. Then turn your back foot so that it is parallel with the short back edge of your mat. Align your front foot with the center of your back foot. Then release your arms up and out to shoulder height for Warrior 2. Bend your front elbow and rest your front forearm onto your front thigh. Then reach your back arm up and over. Bring your torso back up. Arms are out at shoulder height for Warrior 2. Then straighten your front leg. Turn your right toes so that they are in line with your left toes. Lower your hands. Walk your feet in underneath your hips. Inhale to circle your arms up overhead. Exhale, circle your hands down. Inhale to circle up. Exhale, circle down. Last time, inhale to circle up, palms touch, and your hands come down to the center of your chest as you exhale. Then slowly walk to the short front edge of your mat. Place your hands onto your hips. Shift your weight over to the right. Then step your left foot back so that we can repeat what we just did on the other side. You can keep your hands here on your hips, or you can release them, then circle them up overhead. Explore some pelvic tilts here. Come back to neutral. Bring your hands back down to your hips if they're not there already. Turn your back foot so that it is perpendicular with your front foot. Then release your hands down, up, and out to shoulder height for Warrior Two. Bend your front elbow, place your front forearm onto your front thigh, reach your back arm up and then forward. Bring your torso back up. Arms are out for Warrior Two. Straighten your front leg. Turn your front toes so they are facing the same direction as your back toes. Place your hands onto your hips and then walk your feet in underneath your hips. Inhale to circle your arms overhead. Exhale, circle down. Again, inhale up. Exhale down. Last time, inhale up. Palms touch. Exhale, hands come to the center of your chest. Walk to the short front edge of your mat. Release your hands down. Inhale to circle your arms up. Palms touch. Exhale, hinge forward at the hips, reach down towards the mat to come into a standing forward fold. Bend your knees. Make your way onto your hands and your knees. Then sit your hips back onto your heels. Feel free to place a prop between your hips and your heels if that makes this pose more comfortable. Bring your hips over to one side to take a seat on the mat. Bring the soles of your feet together and allow your knees to fall away from one another down towards the mat. Bring your hands to the soles of your feet, massaging the soles of your feet. Begin to make circles with your torso around your hips. Change the direction of your circles. Come back through center. And on your next exhale, fold forward over your legs. Slowly come up. Bring your knees together and lie back. The soles of your feet flat on the floor, knees bent. Walk your feet in close to your bottom. Palms are down on the mat. On your next inhale, lift your hips. Exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. Exhale, lower. Continue inhaling and lifting, exhaling and lowering at your own pace. Make this the last time you lower your hips. On your next inhale, arch your lower back. As you exhale, come to a neutral spine. Continue inhaling and arching, exhaling and coming back to neutral, just as we did in the beginning. Make this the last time you come to a neutral spine. Walk your feet out wide, allow your knees to fall in towards each other. Rest here, breathe here. Straighten your legs. Turn your palms so they are facing up towards the sky. Rest here in our final resting pose. When you're ready to, begin to wiggle your toes and your fingers. Then roll over onto one side. Slowly press yourself up and come into a comfortable cross-legged seated position. Inhale to circle your arms up overhead, palms touch. Exhale, hands come to the center of your chest. Thank yourself for taking this moment to move and breathe and support your fertility. I hope you enjoyed that practice, and if you would like to learn more and continue to practice with me, you can do so by heading to my website, sending me an email, heading to my YouTube channel, or my Instagram. I hope to see you there. I hope to connect with you soon. Thank you so much for allowing me to guide you in this practice and to share some information about yoga for fertility with you. Enjoy the rest of your day, and bye for now.